Hey everybody, my name is Mark Moyer and you're in the Lincoln Lounge for today's Lunch with an Expert. I'm super jazzed, amazed, thrilled, etc. to have Marie Sabath in here. She is, and I'm inviting her in while I give a little bit of I'll say a brief background, but she graduated from the Ohio State University. That's right, the Ohio State University. Um, and you got to turn on your camera on the bottom, Emery.
Will do.
There you go.
Working
Cool.
on it.
And she's an author of, let's see, I've written one book and she's written 10, so she's 10 times better and smarter than I am. Obviously, you've written a lot of books. You've helped so many people. You've been a keynote speaker. You've advised people on how to really grow their businesses. But I think what we want to hear about today is, what the book your ninth book, where you said what self-made millionaires do that most people don't, including me, because I'm not quite a self-made millionaire. I'm a self-made hundredaire. So I'm on my way. I'm going to be a thousandaire soon, and someday a millionaire. What do you think?
That's a beginning. That's a great start. And you know what? The journey is as much fun as the destination. Thank you for having me here.
Of course.
And, I'm really thrilled really to be here. Well, I'll tell you, when writing this book, which I happen to have, What Self-Made Millionaires Do That Most People Don't, I was not one. And I promised myself and the readers that in 2 years, after identifying the 4 ways that I had not integrated into my professional style, that I too would join the people who I quoted in this book on their journey, and I did. And the reason I loved writing this and I love sharing it is because becoming a self-made millionaire is really not about the money. It's all about the habits. So what I'm going to ask you first is this. I would like you to ask yourself, and then we're going to come on and find out at some point, do you document your goals? There's a study, a very simple study, about 100 MBA students from Harvard. And of course, they're supposed to be smart, IQ wise. And I do love them. I've worked with the business school there several times. And these MBA students were asked, do you have goals? 85 of the 100 had no goals. They were so busy focusing on completing their courses, learning how they were going to pay for the next semester, etc. 13 of the 100 had had goals only in their minds. 85 no goals, 13 goals only in their minds. 3 of the 100 MBA students had documented goals. Now, if you only hear this from me, it will definitely worth being here. 10 years later, the same 100 individuals were surveyed, probably through LinkedIn, and they found that the 13 individuals who had goals only in their minds were earning on average twice as much as the 85 MBA students who had no goals. However, I don't even want that to be you. I want these people to be, you to be these people. The 3 people who had documented goals were earning 10 times more than the 97 other people. So again, I don't know about you. I don't have a very high IQ. However, I know what it's like. So I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, do you document your goals? And I don't want you to tell everyone whether you do or not. I want to know that, because this is the most important thing you can do to create your own success.
Well, wait, let me interrupt for 1 second. So, Anne-Marie, for everybody, on the bottom right of your screen, you'll see there's a hand clap, a thumbs up, and a little something else it is. If you want to just throw up there the thumbs ups, if you do actually document your goals, that'd be great. And so, in fact, let me do that, because then I could show that I'll just tell you, I do it here. How do I do it? Here, click. Is it happening? Do you see the thing going up or not?
Yes.
All right, cool. All right, anyways, so, but a quick question about the documenting, and I know you're about to say it, but it's one thing to write them down, but do you believe they should be shared?
That's a great question. Number one, when you document your goals, I'm going to say, I will answer your question. You put them in 3 different places.
Okay.
Wherever I put them under the mattress, I still have my goals. I put my goals under the mattress, in the notes section of my phone. If you have a car, I don't have a car, living in New York anymore, in the glove compartment of my car. And then, to Mark's point, you tell no one. If you're going to tell someone, tell somebody who has already accomplished those goals, so that that person can mentor you. However, most people talk about what they're going to do instead of doing it. It is essential. And I can guarantee you, again, at my stage in life, I'm 72 and I'm so proud of it. I wouldn't go back a day. And let me tell you, most of you are not in this decade. You have so much to look forward to. It's so exciting. And because you can continue to help people. I tell you, any goal I have ever had has taken sometimes 2 weeks and sometimes 20 years. You can accomplish anything you want when you think it, you document it, and then act as if. We know this whole story from Rhonda Byrne. We know it from Napoleon Hill. We know it from Claude Bristol, from all of these authors, the current authors, the past authors, etc. So that's what it's about. Part of being accomplishing anything, and in this case, becoming a self-made millionaire, is surrounding yourself with the people you want to be like. And I have to tell you, this is not a commercial for Mark. I guarantee you, he's not paying me, nor will I accept it. However, you have to surround yourself with people you want to be like. I love Clubhouse, and I'll tell you why. The club room, because I couldn't quite figure out why. I love people who want to make it happen. People who are joining hands to be able to say, this is what I want. And then you find energy from other people. I mean, you've heard Gary. He has an idea. He is creating it. It's becoming a tangible. It is a tangible, and we will soon have our hands on it. This is what it's about. We're talking about a Shirley who wanted to write a book, who's ghosting books, who is helping people, bona fide authors, sophisticate their books. So what I'm saying is, you're dealing in this group. I can tell you, this is my 5th time here. I love it. And I couldn't quite figure, just had a wonderful conversation yesterday with James Galvin Smith. I didn't even know what our connection was, and I'm still not quite sure. However, I love him. I can't wait to meet him.
So do you know who he is?
I don't know who he is.
Let me tell you, he was the drummer in my band 30 something years ago. And he, since that time, has an incredibly accomplished career. He was a senior person at, Huffington Post, one of the original people there, Rolling Stone magazine, Sony Music, Universal Music. He's done all kinds of startups. So a brilliant guy, chief revenue officer everywhere. But I know him as Jim the drummer, but everyone else knows him as James Smith. So I'm glad you had a chance to talk. He's brilliant.
I love James. Yeah. I love him, and I cannot wait to meet Patricia, his wife, Patricia. So the key is, one of the secrets to creating your own success is recognizing, and I believe all of you do, there is no box. Not to live in your box. There is no box. There is no water, a glass of water, glass that's half filled. It's completely filled. Half filled with water, the other with air. Surrounding yourself with people who are make it happen, recognizing that anything that is considered a failure is strictly an opportunity for success. And let me tell you, I don't know about you, Matt. However, I don't know if you've ever failed. My gosh, I have failed so many times, and I've taken the Scarlet O'Hara approach. Pick yourself up, brush yourself off. And when you're with people who've already failed and then got up and succeeded, they simply help you get up, versus people who say, I told you, I knew it wouldn't happen, A, B, C, D, E. So these are only a few situations for creating your own success. If I may give you one more, and these are the 4 that I did not have, and I sure have them now, is planning what you're going to do, meaning always make sure you map out what you're going to do and then accomplish it. So an example is, if you're going to the store because you need a new pair of black slacks, and as you're getting to that department, you see that knockout sweater or those wonderful, whatever, that wonderful shirt, you stay focused and only get the slacks. And one of the reasons for that is you stay focused, you plan your work, you work your plan. That is a commonly made error. So again, I don't want to point fingers at anyone. I only know that it works. And it does, even if it's a nickel, it wasn't on your list. And so the key is how to stay focused in life. Here's another one, taking the initiative. I'm going to tell you, Mel Robbins, who you really should have on. I don't know Mel, however, I love her. She's in Boston and she has written the 5 second. She's written many books. However, one is called the 5-second rule. And the 5-second rule is in 5 seconds. Well, Mark is a perfect example how I met him. I'm going to give you the 5-second rule about Mark. We were at a function at a club, and I didn't know Mark from Adam. He didn't know me. And he happened to be scooting down. He was kneeling, meaning he was stooping down between courses and talking to the person to my right. And when they came up for air, I was like chopped liver. Nobody looked at me. So I extended my hand and I said, "Hi, Marie Sabath." And then the person next to me introduced Mark and me. And he said, "Well, Mark has a book. I just happen to have my card." And said to him, "I'll be in touch with you, Mark." This is how it happened. That was the 5-second rule. So what I would like to know.
By the way, time out. I disagree. I didn't think you were chopped liver.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd say that.
Chopped lettuce maybe, but not chopped liver. So, no, how could, you are like an absolute magnet. So easy for you, Anne-Marie, but there's some people that do struggle a little bit. So actually, let's jump into that for one quick second, because you do speak about self-made millionaires, but one of the traits that I see in people that are very successful, whether they have a type A personality or a type Z or like a very introverted, they all have to figure out a way to network, to speak to other people. What would you say is, for someone who may be a little bit more shy and introverted, what's a great way for them to be able to, whether it's break the ice or, create a relationship?
Sure. Well, that's a great question and an easy one. Let me tell you this. There are 3 kinds of people. There are people who are type A squared like me. I can talk to a wall and it talks back. That's number 1. That's outgoing. And the more apprehensive we are, the more outgoing we get. So that's how extroverted people operate. People who are quiet, and I live with a very quiet one. People who are quiet are perceived as outgoing when they talk with one person at a time. So an example, my son is very introverted. However, if you met him, you would think he was an extrovert because he makes a point of talking with one person at a time, and he asks questions beginning with interrogatives. How about who, what, when, where, why, and how? He says nothing. And by the time they leave the conversation, they believe Scott is so interesting when they didn't even learn about him. So quiet people should focus on one person at a time. It's a system. Ask questions that you really want to know. And then the rule for following up and following through. And this is what everyone should do in order to create their own success. Anytime it takes more than 15 minutes for someone to do something for you or for you to spend time with that person, always send a follow-up. Always send a follow-up. Now, I'm pretty quick on the draw, and that darn James Galvin Smith, he sent a follow-up to me before I did. Shirley sent a follow-up to me before I did, and I'm quick. So they were quicker, and I mean probably within 2 hours instead of within 3. So this is how you create your own success. People who are analytical, who like to dot the I's, cross the T's, who have more of an analytical, preferred math over languages, they need to create a system. So people who are quiet, people who are much more prefer a system, prefer a structured gathering, should have a mental agenda. And that means when they walk into a room, they should ask themselves, why am I here? Your goal is to meet people you don't know, not to migrate toward people you know. And so you walk into a room, you look around as though you're hosting the function, you approach 1 or 2 people who you don't know. You get a beverage, one or two more people you don't know. You always say something that you've heard the other person say before disengaging, and then you send the follow-up. So the question is, you have to be well, in order to be successful, it's essential to be a master networker and to find out about other people. People really see people are really interesting if we are sincerely interested.
One of the things I like to do in a conversation is try to find something out about the person that's unique, that's different, because then it's something I can remember. And I'm like, they'll say, maybe they say, on the way to that event, a truck almost splashed them with a puddle or something, or whatever it might be, something that I can reference the next day or 2 days later. If they met 20 people at the event, at least I'll stand out that way. So I think that's really important. Now you talked about a few, you'd sent out a sort of a few questions. There's another one about, you talk about, showing up on time, showing up late, showing up early, that sort of thing. Talk to me about that.
Well, this is a big one. And the reason I'm such an expert at this is for 35 years, I ran late. I was late for my wedding, only 2 minutes. That should have been the first clue. Anywho, what I learned when starting my 33-year-old consulting business was this: you can never be late. And so as recently as this morning, I had a 7:30 a.m., 7:30 breakfast. I made a point of writing down the time I had to leave, which was at 6:50. Got there at 7:15, and I made a point of being kept waiting rather than keeping people waiting. The reason I say that is this is essential. People who can manage their time can also manage their money. You ask me about somebody's bank account, and I will guarantee you, I only need to spend 3 times with them. The first time may be an exception. However, 3 strikes and look out. How many see the correlation between managing minutes and managing time? Managing beans, managing time, there's a correlation. And so again, for a long time, I won't even tell you how long, 40 years almost, I have learned to only write down the time I have to leave, never the time I have to be somewhere. I guarantee you can tell a lot about a person by that.
One thing that drives me, I tend to be pretty punctual about stuff, or even a little early. It's just, I kind of see it as a sign of respect that if someone else doesn't value your time, then you shouldn't be valuing them, right, too much. One thing I knew about our former mayor, may he rest in forever away from New York, but he was always an hour late for everything. He'd make people wait for him, which is just such a lack of respect as far as I'm concerned. So even though I have been late to things, I will always make sure that the person who is waiting knows for damn sure that I'm running late because of some catastrophe, a typical thing like a meteorite falling or something else happening, a piano, whatever. So, but I know other people think that it's okay, or if it's cool, or if it's, it's part of doing business, but I don't know.
Well, I hear what you're saying. Natalie said, I thank you for being honest, Natalie. It's nice to be able to understand about being late, as I used to be. And she said, I used to be late. I've really worked on it and have been getting there early. That is a real coup. Congratulations. And you're right, as Gretchen said, being on time shows a lack of a sign of respect to other people. However, when you do it, there's something about this, and this is not really about what self-made millionaires do, or maybe so. I love to be early because, number one, when you're negotiating, other people feel vulnerable. They feel like they owe you something. It's really important to do that. I love this. Tamara said, I was never late until I had kids. Oh, get ready. Yes, that's a whole thing. However, you know what? They learn more from what they see into what you're right. I mean, there are a lot of variables that go into that. So it's a matter of starting earlier. What about some questions before we go on? Because I can keep talking.
Well, Gretchen, she did ask, any good opening lines for approaching people you don't know?
Absolutely. The way I approach someone I don't know is I say, hello, or good morning, or good evening after 6 p.m. It depends how formal, informal. And I always, the most important word in the English vocabulary is a person's name. The second most important word in the English vocabulary is the word you. So it's important to use you before we before I. In that case, I go up to you, Gretchen, and I say, hi, if you have a minute, I'd like to meet you, Anne Marie Sabath. So by doing that, it worked. It works all the time. Listen, I live on the second floor of a building. We used to live on 42, you can imagine. In 2 floors, I always meet people, always. If they're alone, I'll say hi. If they're coming from 7 and I see it, I'm watching the elevator. Hi, what's going on 7 today? And then they tell me, and before we get off the elevator, we meet. So it's always about the other person. If you have a minute, I'd like to meet you. Always focus on them. And you know what? Sometimes you have to ask twice when you're meeting a stranger. Most people are very interested in talking about themselves. And when you're
100%.
sincerely,
Yeah.
yes, people love it. And it's fun because you learn something about them.
The more engaged people are on themselves, the more they talk about themselves, the more they're going to remember you. And when I give advice to people when they're interviewing, I say to them, listen, it's not about you to be constantly filling the air with your voice. In an interview, show them that you're interested in them.
Absolutely.
The more they see that, the more they're going to think, you know what, this is the type of person I want working for me. Someone who cares about what I say and what I do, not someone that's going to be talking so much about themselves. So I think that's absolutely brilliant that, the idea of going to somebody, saying your name, asking them to say their name. Now, one thing I'm terrible at, I'm really bad at, is the name thing. I forget it 0.4 seconds after I hear it. Now, I've heard different ideas on how to remember it. What's one you have?
Well, the first recommendation, thank you for asking. The first recommendation is stop saying, I can't remember names. Because when you say that, it's in your brain. I can't remember names. And so, of course, we all forget. And so my first recommendation is when you hear a name, say a name. That's essential. Mark, nice to meet you. When you hear a name, say a name, use a name, you're more likely to remember names. In that case, and that's why it's so terrific, when you're hosting these events, we see the name of the person. Since approximately 75% of people in the world are visual, it goes into their brains. It goes into our brains. Now, it doesn't go into my brain if I see a name because I'm a feeling or kinesthetic person. However, I can use it and then it clicks. When people are visual, they see it and they know the person's name is Mark. This is how it works. Now, if you see someone and you have forgotten that person's name, what you usually do is you say, and I'm introducing that person to Mark, I'll say, good to see you. And I may not say Mark's name. I'll say, please help me with the introductions. Or have the two of you met? By doing that, you're getting the other person's name out. And that, again, is essential.
Do you plan your purchases or do you buy impulsively? Tell me a little bit more about that, because some people may do both. Some may plan, but then while they're somewhere buying something that they plan on buying, they're like, wait, bright, shiny object. I need that also. So tell me, is there what do you think?
Well, again, that was one of the things I had to learn to do. Let's say I was going to TJ Maxx to pick up something and I saw a trinket for a family member. I conditioned myself to stay focused on why I was there. I was there to be able to buy the scarf that I knew I was going to get for someone for his or her birthday. So that was it. Even if that other item cost a nickel, you learn to pre-plan your purchases. That is one of the most commonly made mistakes that keeps people from becoming self-made millionaires. I can guarantee you that.
That's interesting. But so what's happening right now as we speak is there's a there's a guy that I've been following for many years. He's one of these coaches that's all about Brendan Burchard. I don't know if that name rings a bell, Brendan Burchard, but he's written several books. Really great guy. But he's got an army of coaches out trying to get people to be coached. And every coach, like myself, needs coaching. I mean, it's not just other people. So to me, it might be an impulsive buy to invest in coaching, but tell me a little bit about investing in yourself and the value of that.
Well, investing in yourself is essential, and that includes learning something new every day. And learning something new every day, you may meet someone, you may you may read a proverb, you may be reading something new in a book. You have to stay open to learning something new. It's also essential to take time to think every day. So many people get the best ideas in the shower. And I know we had one of the individuals here say, I used to be on time. Now again, I have kids. Let me tell you, be in the shower for 5 extra minutes. That is your time without question. Your kids will grow up and leave you. So don't worry, savor it now. And whatever you do, they will also master. I can tell you from having 2 children, and when they showed up early versus late, I knew I had done something right. Also, a trait of self-made millionaires is be honest. People of integrity get far in life. I don't care what it is. It can be, it doesn't even matter what it is. Let's say you go to the grocery store and, again, a perfect example. I went to the grocery store, spent a ridiculous amount of money. I had everything on my list and I saw there was something in the cart when I was leaving. I'll put it on my list next time I'll get it. The key is you have to be honest, only because everything that goes around comes around. It's so essential. I'll give you another one. People, self-made millionaires, know that it's easy to have doubts. And my belief, and I've from interviewing 30 self-made millionaires who started from nothing, they were the best as far as I was concerned. No trust fund babies in this book. Is they made sure they knew how to manage any dirty doubts. So if you have a dirty doubt, and we all do, write them down, tear them up. And if you still have it, write down that doubt or those doubts again. If you have to buy a ream of paper, tear them up. Because you have to believe in yourself in order to get other people to believe in you. Napoleon Hill has a great mantra. I've had this book, I won't tell you how long, 40 years. And I have it. It's Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And he has always said, what the mind believes, what the mind conceives, CBA, and you believe, you will achieve. So conceive, believe, achieve. And you do not let anyone get in your way. If somebody says it cannot be done, you know what? Let me get my hot little hands on them and I will show them how to confirm it will be done. And we've already talked about that. Write down your goals, document your goals, believe it, surround yourself with people you want to be like, plan your work. Mark.
So surrounding yourself with people you like, I really appreciate that. Sometimes it's not always possible. Sometimes a little challenging to do that. But I think that the point being that we, as you said earlier, we can all learn always. Remember, everybody, and this is something I try to explain to people that, well, especially athletes who, when they retire, they think they're just a football player, just a figure skater, just a something,
Yep.
And I say to them, no, you've got so much expertise. You've got, whether it's your athletic mindset, your skill set, et cetera, that you can share with people that other people just don't have. They really need to learn from you. And once you show people that they've got a lot more than they think they do, and more than I think a lot of times people take for granted the expertise that they have.
Absolutely. I met a woman a few days ago, and I don't know about you, but I was blown away. She just sold, are you ready? A $40 million business. I don't even know how many zeros that is. Anyway, and she's trying to figure out what to do. And I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, I'm not the smartest game in town, but you know what? I have the belief that anything you want, you can accomplish. And it wasn't the money. It's not the money. It's how she's wants to give, how she can contribute in life. Now, something you said, Mark, is essential. And let me back up. And what this woman is doing is she is following a book that's called 100 Cups of Coffee. In order for her to identify what her next step is in life, she scheduled 100 over the past year, 100 gatherings with people so that she can learn from them and
I like that.
See, wasn't that brilliant?
Yeah.
Yes, that is right. Now, one other thing, if I may share it for everyone, it's important to surround yourself with people you want to be like, and it's very easy. Let me tell you, when I started my business in 1987, if you think there were a lot of women business owners, think again. So what I did is I invested in books by men by women. Harvey McKay and I, who has great books out, even though he doesn't know me, I knew him. He and I were traveling together all the time because he was always on a flight with me. We always stay together. You surround yourself with people. I will not invest, and I don't buy anything. Will not invest in a book unless I will invite that author to my home, meaning that person has to be positive, person has to have ideas. As far as surrounding yourself with people you want to be like, guess what? Sometimes you don't have that, or sometimes you may have a book. You say, you know what, not in the mood. You must surround yourself also with people who want to be like you. It's not always a matter of taking, it's accepting. And I remember there were 6 months in my life where, I was planting seeds and people would say, could we get together? And I'd say, of course, whether it's a Zoom call, in person, it didn't matter. And I kept saying to myself, you know what? I have a lot of seeds planted. And when I'm ready for something, they will sprout. And as God is my witness, if I told you, you would think I'm making them up. So what I'm saying to you is the more seeds we plant, and that is a trait of a self-made millionaire. Look, these are just human traits. This is what it's about. It's not about the money, because that happens by itself.
It does. It follows. Before we go any further, let me ask you this: what keeps you busy now? Meaning, are you coaching people? Are you advising people? Are you just simply writing book number 11? What's going on?
What I do is, my focus is, I do spend a few hours a day writing my book. Sometimes it's 2 a.m. Sometimes it is at 6 or 7. I'm a reactionary person. So when I get an email, I know that during the day, I make sure I'm accessible for people. That's number one. I make sure when I meet with someone, as I said before, they always get a follow-up from me. It's an automatic 15 minutes, get that. So what do? I make myself available for people. I'm meeting with someone coming up. These are 2 individuals who I just happened to meet in a coffee shop. They're in their 20s. They came from out of the country, and they wanted a mentor. And they said, would you be our mentor? 2 lovely young men. I said, are you kidding? Of course. The point is, be accessible for people. And so we're meeting again tomorrow, and they want to be actors, and they visualize, and they felt this was a sign. And I said, of course it's a sign. The key is be accessible for people, because I'm telling you, when you want something in your life, it will happen. And it sounds like a threat. I guarantee you. It so happens. It's a matter of, sometimes you don't know why things are happening. And again, same thing with Mark. I didn't quite know, why am I following up? Of course I am, because that's the system. And so many doors have opened. And the opening is, you get to know people, you find out what makes them tick, something in your mind, a seed sprouts because of something that you helped them with, or something they told you about. It's amazing.
Number one, what's the best way to reach you? Is it like via LinkedIn? Is it by email? Tell me what's the best email,
Any of the above. I'm going to give my phone number right now, and they can text me anytime. 513-200. So it's 513-200-0449. That's my text, 513-200-0449. If you'd like to connect through LinkedIn, you're more than welcome to do that. You'll always get a prompt response from me. And the key is, sometimes you need an ear. I deal with people who schedule time, and then we make positive, we follow up. And again, I handle situations of somebody. I was working with a former NFL football player, and I will tell you, he was struck out because he was late 3 times, and I said, gone. We put him on probation, late 3 more times, gone. So I'm saying, surround yourself with people you want to be like, and you can count on me.
All right. And Gretchen wants to know, where is the best place to buy your book?
Thank you for asking, Gretchen. I'm honored. Well, I'll tell you, all of my books are available on Amazon, and I love this book because what self-made millionaires do that most people don't, because it has really assisted me in getting to where I wanted in life. And by doing that, I'm able to help other people, and I love it. It's available paperback, audio, as well as Kindle. And It really works. And the best part about it, what I love is when I write a book, I make positive that I'm talking with my readers. So every section has, what about you? It's introspective for you. And that's what the goal is. And let me tell you, there are fewer self-made millionaires who are women than men. And women, let me tell you, we can do it. We just have to want it. We started a little later in life. Your generation can do it. And it's a matter of little by little, you go far. So I am with you. If you ever need a word of motivation, inspiration, I am here for you.
You know what? I'm going to end it right there. We're going to go back to the tables in a second so we can chat with everybody again. But this has been phenomenal. You're amazing, Marie. I will. We should do this every week, almost. But this is fantastic. And look, I encourage everybody, don't just listen to her say that. Take her up on it, and please reach out to Anne-Marie. Please connect with her. Please, you're a fantastic mentor. Obviously, you've got amazing advice, and we could listen to this for hours. So we're going to end it here. But thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Audrey.
All right.